All right, so uh, are you ready to dive into some MPL Philippines action? Week 2 was a wild one, and we've got a great summary from One Sports.
Oh, yeah, definitely ready. I'm excited to break it all down with you.
Sweet. So we're here to pull out the need-to-know info, highlight the biggest moments, and maybe even make some predictions for what's coming next.
Always fun to speculate, right?
Absolutely. All right, so first off, can we just talk about Team Liquid PH and Aurora Gaming? Like, undefeated through week 2, are we looking at our potential champions already?
It's early, but yeah, they're definitely making a statement right now. Staying undefeated at this stage builds some serious momentum. It's not just about the wins themselves,
Yeah.
it's the pressure they put on everyone else. You can almost feel that we have to beat these guys mentality creeping in, and that can mess with the team's performance for sure.
Totally makes sense. So let's focus on Team Liquid PH for a sec. Their win against AP.Bren was pretty decisive, but then they had that nail-biter against Smart Omega. What did you make of those two wins?
That's what's so interesting about Team Liquid PH right now. They're not just winning, they're winning in different ways.
Oh, interesting.
Like that AP-Bren match, pure dominance. They controlled the objectives, the map. It was like a clinic on macro strategy.
Yeah, I was watching that one. They just shut them down completely.
Exactly. And then against Smart Omega, it was a totally different story. It came down to the wire, some incredible clutch plays in the late game to secure the win. They showed resilience, adaptability.
Wow. So they can dominate and they can pull off these crazy comebacks.
Yeah.
What more could you ask for?
Well, the big question is consistency, right? Can they keep this up all season long? But yeah, those two wins definitely showed that Team Liquid TH has the talent, the strategy to be a top contender. They're not afraid to switch things up, and that makes them really dangerous.
Definitely agree with you there. So were there any specific plays or decisions that stood out to you, something that really highlighted that strategic depth you were talking about?
Oh, absolutely. In that Smart Omega match, there was this moment where they used Edward's Foveus to split push. They knew Smart Omega would try to stop him, and they used that as a distraction to sneak in and get the Lord.
Oh, wow, that's smart.
It was risky, but it paid off big time and totally shifted the momentum in their favor. That kind of calculated risk-taking, that's what separates the good teams from the great ones.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and rewatch that one.
Yeah.
Knowing that little detail makes it even more exciting. Okay, so while we're talking about teams making moves, how about Team Falcons PH and TNC Pro Team? Both sitting pretty at 3-1 right now.
They're the ones to watch for sure if they can keep up this pace. Team Falcons PH, their strength is definitely synergy. They play like a well-oiled machine. Everyone knows their role, and they execute flawlessly.
But you mentioned consistency earlier, and I wonder if that might be their weakness. Can they keep performing at this level week after week?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I've seen moments where they've looked a bit shaky, some miscommunication here and there. If they want to challenge those top teams, they'll need to clean that up.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about TNC Pro Team? What's their secret sauce?
For them, it's just raw talent. They've got some insanely skilled players who can pull off these highlight reel plays, the kind that makes you jump out of your seat.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But individual skill can only take you so far, right?
For sure. You're absolutely right. And that's where TNC needs to focus. They need to develop better teamwork, more strategic discipline. They've got the potential to be a top team, but they got to harness that individual brilliance and make it a cohesive team effort.
Interesting. So we've got these powerhouses at the top,
Right.
these rising contenders nipping at their heels.
Yeah.
But what about the teams at the bottom of the standings? It's got to be tough to be 0-4 at this point in the season.
Oh, yeah. It's an uphill battle for sure for ONIC PH, AP, Bren Smart Omega, and Twisted Minds PH. But it's week 2, There's still a lot of mobile legends left to be played.
So you're saying there's still hope? I mean, I'd love to see some upsets. It would make things so much more interesting.
Upsets are what we live for, right? And honestly, any team can have a breakout performance on any given day. What these teams need to do is analyze their mistakes, adapt their strategies, and most importantly, not give up hope.
It reminds me of season 12 when Blacklist International started off slow and then just went on that insane winning streak and ended up winning the whole thing.
Exactly. You never know when a team might just click and find their groove. And remember, even in a loss, there are valuable lessons to be learned.
So if you had to pick one of these struggling teams that you think has the best chance of turning things around, who would it be and why?
That's a tough one. But I think I'd go with Smart Omega. They've got that history of success, and even in their loss to Team Liquid PH, they showed flashes of brilliance. I think if they can improve their late game decision making, tighten up their communication, they could definitely cause some upsets.
That makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
And you know what they say? It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a marathon, not a sprint. And in esports, anything can happen.
So we've talked about all these exciting matchups and potential storylines,
Definitely a lot to unpack.
for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but, while we're talking about things happening, what are some key storylines or matchups that you'll be watching closely in week 3? Anything that has you particularly intrigued?
Well, I mean, the obvious one, right? The clash of the Titans, Team Liquid PH versus Aurora Gaming.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be huge.
Both undefeated, so something's got to give. It'll be fascinating to see how they approach this match, what strategies they bring to the table. Are they going to play it safe, try to counter each other's strengths, or go all out for the early aggression? I can't wait to find out.
I'm already marking my calendar for that one.
Hmm.
Are there any other matchups that have you on the edge of your seat?
I'm really interested to see how ONICPH performs against Team Falcons. ONICPH is desperate for their first win, and they might come out swinging against a strong team like Team Falcons.
Yeah, they could come out with some crazy strategies
Yeah,
just to
right.
try and shake things up.
Exactly. It could be the spark they need to turn their season around. It's a classic underdog story waiting to happen.
And it's funny you mentioned that because I was looking at the roster, and ONACPH has this rookie jungler who everyone says is incredibly talented.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about him.
Maybe this is the way he steps up and makes a name for himself.
Yeah.
Those breakout performances, they can happen at any time.
That's what makes MPL Philippines so captivating, right? Always a new storyline, a new player ready to break out. You just never know what's going to happen next.
I love that unpredictability. So
Yeah.
before we wrap things up, is there anything else that stood out to you from week 2? Any trends or developments that caught your eye?
Well, one thing I've noticed is the resurgence of tank heroes. We're seeing a lot more teams utilizing heroes like Kufra and Atlas, and it's really changing the dynamic of team fights.
Oh, interesting. So you think this might be the season of the tank?
It's definitely a possibility. We'll have to see how things play out. But one thing's for sure. MPL Philippines Season 15 is shaping up to be one of the most competitive and unpredictable seasons yet.
Couldn't agree more. So to all you Mobile Legends fans out there, what are your predictions for week 3?
Yeah, chime in, let us know.
Do you think Team Liquid PH and Aurora Gaming will continue their undefeated streak? Will Team Falcons PH and TNC Pro Team maintain their momentum? Or will we see a dark horse emerge from the pack? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
Talked about the top teams, those rising contenders, and the teams fighting to climb out of the bottom. It feels like this season could be a real roller coaster.
It really does,
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so exciting. We have those powerhouse teams setting the standard, then those up-and-comers proving they're ready to compete.
Mm-hmm.
And you can never rule out a big upset that could completely shake things up.
Exactly. So
Right.
before we let you go, let's put you on the spot. What are your predictions for week 3? Who are you watching?
Well, that Team Liquid PH versus Aurora Gaming match, that's got to be the big one, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm leaning towards Team Liquid PH, but just slightly. It really could go either way. And like we talked about before, that ONIC PH versus Team Falcons PH match, that could be huge for ONIC PH if they can pull off the upset.
You know what? I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think we'll see at least one major upset this week. Maybe not a top team getting completely knocked down, but I think one of those teams at the bottom is going to pull out a win that no one sees coming. What do you think?
I wouldn't bet against it. This season is full of surprises.
Okay, so to all you Mobile Legends fans out there, what are your predictions for week 3? Do you think Team Liquid PH and Aurora Gaming will keep those win streaks going? Will Team Falcons PH and TNC Pro Team keep that momentum? Or will we see a dark horse come out of nowhere? Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
This has been an amazing deep dive into MPL Philippines Week 2. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Make sure you tune in next week as we break down all the action from Week 3. Until then, keep on gaming.